This video is going to be about how we can create this rock, paper, and scissors game. So this is a great opportunity to use our random number generator variable that we've used before, but we can have a little fun with this. So we can associate it with words such as rock, paper, and scissors. Okay, to do that first, I've introduced some sprites to the stage. This is Tara, this is a monkey, and this is Pico. So while I'm here, just quickly, Pico, when he first comes in, is facing in this direction. So this is just kind of a quick way of showing you that I can just change. So making sure he's selected down here, and I can just do a little flip, and then he's facing the direction that I like. And I can go back to the scripts tab. Okay, so now that I have him facing the way I like it, I can drag them however I like. I'm going to focus on the script itself. So I'm going to have Tara and Pico go against each other with a rock, paper, and scissors. So I'm going to start with Tara, and I'm going to put an event quickly when the flag is clicked. Okay, and we would do the same thing with Pico, so that way when we do click on the flag, they're both going at the same time. So, random number generator. To do that, we have to create a variable. So I'm going to do that. And in this case, instead of having something like my number, I want to be very specific. I'm going to say Tara choice. And you have a couple of options right here. So for all sprites or for this sprite only. So this means a global variable, and this would be a local variable. In this case, I want to make sure it's a global variable so that I can use it for other sprites. More in particular, the monkey, because the monkey in part 2, so this is going to be 2 parts of this video. Part 2, this monkey is going to decide who is the winner. So if I don't have that variable available to him, he won't be able to determine who is the winner. I'm going to click OK. So now we have to do a little bit of work. We need to set Tara's choice, and I need to do that whole random number part here. So this is where I go to operators. And it says pick random number. So I'm going to slide that in here. See how it highlights when I go over that 0? And rather than having from 1 to 10, I only have 3 words I'm going to choose from: rock, paper, or scissors. So I am going to associate those numbers with those words. So I'm going to switch it from 1 to 3. So now I have to have some conditions. If 1 is selected, what's going to happen? If 2 is selected, what if 3 is selected, and so on. So that means we need to go to control. So we're going to do the if, and more specifically, if then. So if we have Tara's choice being number 1, what's going to happen? All right, so let's get started on here. To get the Tara choice in this part, we need to make sure that we have it equal to the 1. So I'm going to get into my operators again, because we need to say, well, let's take a look. In this condition, if I have the variable Tara choice, so I went back to data, I'm going to drag in Tara choice here, is equal to the random choice number of 1, what does that look like? Well, let's look at the situation right now. So if I click on just this coding, you will see up here the Tara choice variable, which is just being displayed on our stage, should change between 1, 2, and 3. And we can see that that is happening. Great. But rather than having this way up here to indicate her choice, we want to make sure we know what the choice is down in here. So maybe a speech bubble. So that would be a looks. So we're going to say, let's say for number 1, let's associate 1 with the word rock. We can have an exclamation point, and you can have this for 2 seconds, or something a little quicker. You can do 1 second. It's completely up to you. I think I'm just going to leave it as is. All right, great. So let's test this to see if it's going to work. And we, of course, keep in mind it has to be a 1 in order for her to say rock. If it's not anything other than 1, you're not going to see her say anything. So let's see. So I'm going to double click on the green. Tara's choice was a 3, so we didn't see anything. 2 and 1, and there she goes. We saw the word rock. So now that we know that that works, let's right click on this coding and let's duplicate that. I'm going to do that again. Save us some time. And then just having to go in and change a couple things so that we no longer have 1, we have 2 and 3. No longer rock. We're going to do paper and scissors. All right, so let's try it now. Rock, because the choice was 1. Still rock. Let's do it again. And we see the choice for 2 being paper and 3 for scissors. Success. Okay, so we're going to do very much a similar thing for Pico. So to save a lot of time, I have my backpack down here. If you don't see it up like that, it's usually hidden down here. So I'm going to bring that back up, drag this down, and now it's there in my backpack. So if I switch to Pico, very quickly, I'm just going to drag that up. And you don't even if you want to save some time, you could even just right click and you can just say clean up and it'll put it in a nice spot for you. All right, you can move the backpack out of the way. Well, now that we moved on to Pico, the problem is we have all these Terra choices here. We need to change that. We need to have the data for Pico himself. So let's go to data. I do see the Terra choice, as I should, because I made it a global variable, so it should be available to all sprites. But I do need to make another variable, because this has to be very specific to Pico's choice, which is what I'll call. Again, keeping it for all sprites so that the monkey can use this in part 2. Click OK. Perfect. So I'm going to replace Terra's choice. In the drop-down menu, I now should see Pico's choice. Same pick between 1 and 3. Everything else is going to be the same, except I need to change this variable from Terra choice to Pico. And you'll see that these Terra choices were just kind of plucked outside here. So I have a couple choices. I can drag them out here to delete it, or I can right click and delete that way as well. Excellent. Okay, so let's test Pico in particular. So to test Pico, all I have to do is double click on the script. Paper for 2, good. 3, and rock. Excellent. So everything is working perfectly set up for part 2, where we'll have the monkey telling us who's the winner, and we'll get this off of our stage as well.